If reincarnation's real, being reborn as a king penguin sounds kind of glamorous. The name's regal, the outfit's impeccable, and you get to strut around beaches with thousands of adoring fans. But here's the truth. Being a king penguin is like working in a frozen office cubicle with no heating, no food, and 50,000 coworkers who all look, smell, and scream exactly like you. Yes, you've got the word king in your name, but there's nothing royal about waddling through freezing wind, balancing your kid on your feet, and eating half-digested fish for dinner. Being a king penguin sucks, and here's why. Your journey into this majestic nightmare starts with an egg your parents refuse to put down. Because king penguins don't build nests, there are no twigs, no rocks, no comfy moss bedding. Just pure frozen ground and two terrified parents trying not to drop their baby. So they keep you balanced on their feet under a flap of warm skin called a brood pouch. It's adorable in theory and horrifying in practice. If they lose grip, the egg rolls onto the ice, freezes in under 2 minutes, and that's the end of your story before it even begins. While most birds are off building cute nests in trees, king penguins are literally standing still for months, taking turns so one can go fish while the other plays statue with an egg. It's a parenting style somewhere between inspiringly dedicated and deeply concerning. The egg takes around 55 days to hatch. That's nearly 2 months of nonstop babysitting in hurricane-force winds. When you finally emerge, you're not greeted by warmth or comfort, but by parents who are starving, exhausted, and immediately have to leave to go fishing. So they dump you into a massive creche, a penguin daycare made up of thousands of chicks huddling together for warmth. Your parents disappear for weeks and you're left alone. Just one tiny puff of feathers in a blizzard of brown. It's chaos. A swirling carpet of desperate, freezing toddlers. There's no supervision, no boundaries, and definitely no snacks. Everyone looks like a panicked Labubu doll, wide-eyed, fuzzy, and 100% convinced the world's ending. You spend your days waiting for your parents to return with food, hoping they don't get eaten by leopard seals, lost at sea, or decide to just not come back. And they might not. The ocean's dangerous, and a missed feeding can mean death for both of you. Still, somehow, you endure. You survive months of Antarctic winter without waterproof feathers, relying purely on huddling, hope, and other chicks' body heat. When a parent finally returns, belly full of fish and guilt, they face the impossible, finding you among tens of thousands of identical, screaming chicks. Somehow they do, guided by a unique call that sounds like a rubber chicken being strangled underwater. It's an impressive talent. A horrifying sound, but impressive nonetheless. When spring finally comes, you shed your fluffy brown coat and emerge with sleek black and white feathers accented by a golden orange collar. You look incredible. Elegant, regal, the very definition of nature's formal wear. But you've barely got time to admire yourself because it's time to learn to swim. And learning to swim for a king penguin means immediately diving into icy water filled with predators. No practice pool, no warm-up. Just good luck, don't die. If you survive your first few dives, congratulations. You're officially an adult. Now you get to repeat the same nightmare your parents went through. The dating scene in the colony is competitive. Tens of thousands of penguins line up on the same patch of land, all honking, bowing, and trying to look impressive. Males court females with elaborate displays. They call loudly, standing tall and mirroring each other's movements like a bizarre dance routine. If you're lucky, you find a mate who honks back. You'll stay loyal for that breeding season, maybe even the next. Penguin monogamy is strong, but not unbreakable. If you miss one reunion, your partner might move on to someone louder. Romance in the penguin world is basically speed dating with frostbite. Most birds finish their breeding cycle in a few months. You, 14. That's over a year of commitment, energy, and absolute misery for one single chick. You take turns guarding and feeding the chick, fasting for weeks on end, and waddling back and forth between ocean and colony. When you finally leave to fish, you swim hundreds of kilometers across icy seas, diving up to 300 meters deep for squid and lanternfish. And because the ocean's warming, your food is drifting further and further away every year, meaning longer trips, less food, and more exhausted parents returning to hungry chicks. If the timing's off, the chick starves before you even make it home. Parenting doesn't get much harsher than this. Living in a king penguin colony is like sharing a one-bedroom apartment with 100,000 roommates. It's loud, crowded, and smells like the inside of a fish factory. There's constant bickering over territory, mates, and space. You can't sneeze without hitting someone's flippers. Everywhere you look, penguins. You move in waves, shoulder to shoulder, constantly bumping into your neighbors. It's both community and chaos. And yet, that's what keeps you alive. Huddling together helps conserve heat during brutal storms. Thousands of birds shuffle in unison, each taking turns on the outer edge of the huddle, enduring the wind for the group. It's teamwork born of suffering, a dance of desperation that ensures the colony survives another storm. Life in the sub-Antarctic means you're on the menu for half the food chain. Leopard seals patrol the surf like serial killers in wetsuits. Orcas hunt in coordinated packs. Giant petrels and skuas circle overhead, waiting for a chick to wander off. Even on land, you're not safe. Fleas, ticks, and lice thrive in your dense feathers, feasting on your blood while you freeze. And when the temperature rises, you don't exactly get relief, you overheat. Your body's built for cold, not comfort. You can't sweat, you can't pant, and your only solution is to waddle into the ocean, which is full of things that want to eat you. It's the ultimate lose-lose scenario. You eat fish, then more fish, then maybe a squid for variety. Every meal's raw, slippery, and alarmingly similar to the last. You don't chew, you just swallow things whole like a slippery, feathered vacuum cleaner. When it's time to feed your chick, you regurgitate half-digested fish straight into its mouth. Congratulations! You're officially a living NutriBullet. If you think that sounds disgusting, remember, you're doing this while starving, freezing, and standing in a colony coated in fish guts, droppings, and the leftovers of 1,000 other penguins' meals. Bon appétit! Humans have a talent for ruining everything, and the penguin kingdom's no exception. Overfishing is depleting your food sources. Climate change is warming the seas and shifting prey further south. Plastic pollution drifts into your feeding grounds, and oil spills can wipe out entire colonies. Even tourism, though well-meaning, adds stress. Hundreds of camera-wielding visitors stomping through your nesting grounds while you're trying to keep an egg. Warm isn't exactly ideal. Your colonies are shrinking, your journeys are longer, and your future's melting faster than the ice you stand on. Researchers adore you. You're like the poster child for climate studies. Beautiful, brave, and visibly doomed. They track your movements with GPS, measure your feathers, test your blood, and count your chicks. It's all in the name of conservation, but let's be honest, it's intrusive. Still, thanks to all that data, we know that king penguins are among the most sensitive indicators of ocean health. When you start struggling, it means something's seriously wrong with the planet. You're basically the canary in the coal mine. If the canary wore a tuxedo and screamed for 12 hours a day. You're not dumb, far from it. You navigate using the stars, remember exact feeding grounds across thousands of kilometers, and identify voices in a crowd of thousands. But you're also a creature of habit. Everything about your life depends on timing. When the ice melts, when the fish migrate, when the chicks hatch. If global temperatures shift even slightly, your perfect schedule collapses. You can't simply adapt because your entire biology is wired to an environment that's vanishing. And yet, despite all of the hunger, the cold, the endless crowd of noisy neighbors you endure. You march across frozen beaches, dive into deadly seas, and raise a chick that has maybe a 50-50 chance of surviving. You're regal in your resilience, dignified in your despair. You don't rule an empire of gold and marble. You rule a kingdom of ice, wind, and chaos. Being a king penguin sucks. But you make it look good. Because for all your suffering, you remain one of the most beautiful, fascinating creatures on Earth. A bird that thrives where almost nothing else can. You may be freezing, starving, and constantly screaming, but you're still royalty, and that's got to count for something.